Praise Yahweh. Hallelujah, Abba Yahweh. Another day that Yahweh has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. This is my wife, Hefzibah, and she will introduce what to do after the podcast. And praise Yahweh, because once I get started, I let the Spirit lead and guide me to minister unto the people. So before we get started, she has something to direct you to.
If there are any questions or comments in relation to any of the videos, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you. Toda.
Okay. That's a comment that she wants to address to you. Praise Yahweh that you'll know to do these things. All right. So now I'm finna get started in the ministry. Love you. Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah. This day, as I was ministering yesterday on the podcast concerning the scribes, and the scribes are the one, like I said, over in Matthew 23rd chapter, from 1 to 34, that 8 times Yeshua dealt with the scribes and reproofing them with the scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, because they was in one accord, and deceit, lies, and taking away things that was written that it should have been for the people to have ears to hear what Yahweh was saying to them in the truth of the matter of their life. But the Pharisee was a hindering spirit that Satan used through religion people to hinder other people from knowing the truth. And what we gonna hear today is 2 things that was put out there at the time that most people don't even consider what doctrine it is. And the doctrine is doctrine of demons. The teaching is Satan teaching. But he has to add and take away from the word of truth. And he don't let truth expose itself that much. Because more people love a lie than the truth. And they don't come to the truth that they might be saved from their sin. So he put another word right beside that. And the word that he put beside truth and to replace it, trust and truth, was a Hebrew word to know how to read the scripture, to read it in a matter of learning, not to be deceived by the truth. So he put another word out there that most people don't even know exists, but they live by it, make music by it, talk about it, preach about it, the hirelings, and everything else. And that word is faith. You hear me loud and clear. And we're going to see the evidence of something that carry no evidence in it. And deny the works of Yahweh, his work. And they deny your work because it tell you live by faith, not up under the law. The law would allow you to do works on behalf of making things right, dealing with matters. The law will allow you to do restitution for your wrong because something matters in the lawgivers that give the law on behalf of the people so they won't be oppressed, they won't be deceived, they won't be lied to or anything else. But we're going to see this for ourselves. And bear with me. Spend the time to know about your salvation, not about tradition of man. To know who you're trusting. To know who you're serving. And to know the fruits of your work, your labor. But we got to see the evidence of it. And over in the book of Hebrew, 11th chapter, it started with this book that most people love to quote, most people love to say they up under this, and because Paul put them up under that. And yesterday I declared unto you that Paul was a Hebrew, wasn't a Christian. The Christians say they are not up under the law. They're up under grace. Well, grace tried to replace the word of mercy. And it put it there in Genesis when it said Noah found grace in the sight of Yahweh. Noah found mercy in the sight of Yahweh. Because before the mercy seat appeared with the order of the covenant, Yahweh was giving mercy unto those that he had chosen, the elect, to do his will. And when the mercy seat came, it came to deal with those that will sit upon it in the things that they say, do with their deeds that were not right. And they can sit upon the mercy seat and be judged and be forgiven and repent, because they can't lie their way out. They can't deceive nobody out, because they're sitting before the mercy seat of Yahweh to obtain mercy. So these two words here, grace and faith, is what people have been operating in, and their life is shipwrecked. They have no foundation to stand on, to even bear fruits through what they say in righteousness, because they deny the truth. Their head is spinning around declaring faith, because that is the doctrine of demons. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. Substance. Things out there that are substance that you hoping for. You're hoping for something, and you're trying to realize the substance of these things you're hoping for. But it come back and say, the evidence of things not seen. This is faith. The evidence of things not seen. Now, you go down to any court in the world that is established by the law, and anything take place with you or somebody else getting hurt, wounded, or what, they're looking for evidence. Because they cannot prosecute or persecute a person on your faith. They're looking for evidence. The evidence has to be proven that someone is guilty of a transgression. The evidence has to prove the transgressor dealing with what they did and what somebody accusing them of doing. But we don't see that in religion. We don't see the evidence that you go down to the courthouse and something has happened to you and they wrote up the report. And the first thing they law tell you, you have a right to remain silent. You have a right for attorney. You have a right to be quiet. Anything you say would be used against you in the court of law. So if you keep talking, you're going to be found guilty of your own action, because the words going to be recorded. And back then, people used the scribes to record the word that was being spoken from the king and the queen and the prince and the princess. But in our time, we don't see the last dispensation of time moving upon the face of the earth that we don't consider, because every church on the corner can all preach faith, but can't none of them fellowship with one another. They can all preach love, but can't none of them love one another because of their tradition and their denomination. Because just like the Pharisees and Sadducees had nothing in common, one believed in the spirit and resurrection, one don't believe in the spirit and resurrection. They didn't have nothing in common. The Sadducee was not a threat to Yeshua. They didn't believe. It was the Pharisee that he warned you, beware of the leaven of the Pharisee, the teaching of the Pharisee. Which Paul was a Pharisee, blameless in the law, because the priest used him. The high priest used him for their evil deed, to do the work on people that was trying to believe in their creator and their maker, and salvation that had appeared to them through Yeshua HaMashiach. But you go to courtroom and you bring out your no witness, no evidence, but your honor, I got faith. Hear me out. Through faith. I did not kill that man. I wasn't in that location when the crime took place. But we have pictures of you. We have your fingerprints. We have evidence of you being at that place committing that crime. And the people that have the evidence bear witness of what they bring in as evidence that it was you. But Your Honor, I have faith that you have to believe me. I'm telling you, can't say the truth. Because they replace truth with faith. And faith is the evidence of things not seen. So there's no evidence with that right there. And when you say you're living by faith, what the scribe put in there, the just shall live by faith. No, the just shall live by truth. And by trust. And being trustworthy. Proving trustworthy in the kingdom of heaven. So they can leave this earth and enter into heaven. Because they have been proven trustworthy. And stand in the truth. And the truth set them free. Not faith. Faith ain't never set nobody free. It is not given to set you free. It was given as a stumbling block to appear as an angel of light that you would choose faith over truth because there's no evidence you committing any sin. There's no evidence that you have done wrong. There's no evidence that you said anything wrong to anybody. And the wicked and the unrighteous love faith. They love to use that word because it's a word of deceiving. If it were possible, the very elect. But the elect got something that Yeshua said no man can take from them. That it was the truth. Because it's going to set them free. So the first thing is that the elders could not obtain a good report through no evidence of something not seen. They couldn't have a report without no evidence. The police, any law, any governor, any king, any queen that brings someone into their court gonna have evidence before they convict them of transgression. They're gonna have the proof that these people did it. And they're gonna have the backbone in them to withstand the lying spirit. They're gonna come out of that person trying to convince them they didn't do it. The evidence way out. And that's why everything is done with evidence. And we're going to see this right here. We're going to see this as you hear it coming from the spirit that bear witness into all truth. But if there's no evidence, the spirit can't bear witness. And faith has taken away your witness to the truth. You're the blind leaving of the blind. Falling into a pit. From a hole to a pit to a snare. You're just falling. Keep falling. Keep falling. Because you're trying to live by something that is not of Yahweh. It's denied the works of Yahweh. And that's what we're going to see here. Now we got the foundation of this out. We got the foundation. Now we're going to see how Yahweh did his work. We're going to turn to the book of Tehillim, the book of Psalm, chapter 78. Tehillim chapter 78. And we're going to read this. And that's why I said bear with me. This right here we'll have to read. And it's a long chapter. And we're going to see how the scribes of Yahweh use the truth to leave breadcrumb for the elect to know the truth. But the scribes of Satan was putting faith and grace into place. And most people use grace and faith to try to live by, because they can hide behind it. There's no evidence or anything proving that you have did wrong or right, that you're guilty of anything and stuff without no evidence. You can't convict a man or woman of any transgression if they don't have evidence. And at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word has to be established. So that means one person, witness, could not put a person to death according to the law. It was the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses that a person had to be sentenced by for a death sentence, because the evidence had to prove that both of them, 3 of them, was telling the truth about the matter that took place. In the book of Psalms, chapter 1, give ear, O my people. And as I read this, listen to how Yahweh dealt with his people. And he gave them evidence of his signs and wonders. And when you see the Creator give you signs and wonder like that, coming out of affliction of bondage for 430 years, 400 years, you should know who delivered you and who set you free. You can't say, well, we just walked out of Egypt and we went into the wilderness and made a golden calf and bowed down and worshiped it, and the golden calf set us free from Egypt. But you had to make the calf out of fire. So if it had to be made, how could it be at the place of Egypt with signs and wonders? How could it kill the firstborn of all the Egyptians? It don't work that way. But lying do. It'll entice you to believe a lie. It'll put you in a lying spirit. Let's read. Give ear, O my people, to my law, and clench your ears to hear the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark saying of old, which we have heard and known, and our father have told us about Yahweh doing. They told them the signs and wonders of his works, his labor love for them, his works. Evidence seen by his works. But faith don't let you have evidence. If a truck driver driving his truck, he got work to do with all the notes he has to keep up with. So if anything happened, he got evidence to prove his work. Because they're going to check the evidence to see is he lying or telling the truth. He can't say, have faith in me. I tell you the truth. Have faith. Just believe me. And you'll be okay. And they'll look at him like he's a lunatic. Like he's mad. Because we didn't hire you to tell us to have faith in you. We hired you to pay your salary for your labor and for your work that you produce on behalf of us. And when we want to check your work, we're going to check your evidence to see if you're telling us the truth or not. Let's read on. We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praise of Yahweh and his strength and his wonderful work that he had done. And it was so wonderful, it's marvelous in our eyes. Because this is the day that Yahweh has made, and not we ourselves, that we should rejoice and be glad in it. Not we can rejoice in something we made. Only thing you can make is statues, idols, images, dignity to fall down and worship. But you can't create the galaxy and the air. You can't create the soil of dirt under your feet, the minerals that come out of the earth. Man can't create nothing but trouble when he's trying to create something. Trouble is going to be his invention. Trouble to the earth and the people and habitation that dwell in it. Trouble. If he let the Creator be in him, he will live by the Spirit of truth. And he will manifest his fruit through his deeds from the truth. Let's read on. For he established a testimony in Jacob and printed a law in Israel, which he commanded our Abba's father, that they should make them known to their children. That's how truth go down. Truth go down when you made it known, when you sit down and talk to your child and bring them up in the way of the truth. So when they get old, they won't depart from the truth. But if you sit down and tell them lies about Christmas and about all the feast days and about Santa Claus and about Easter, the bunny rabbit and stuff, you're not telling them the truth. You're telling tradition of fairy tales, lies. And that make you a liar. Because if they ever find out the truth about the matter, they're going to call you out as a liar. That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, the works of Yahweh, what he did for the people, the Hebrews, that was in bondage under Pharaoh, through signs and wonders of his work. That they may set their hope in Yahweh, and not forget the works of Yahweh, but keep his commandments. It might not be as their father, a stubborn and rebelling generation, a generation that set not their mind, their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with Yahweh. Now you're going to see the scribe going to put words here. And I'm going to take it away with the words that should have been there. And then I'm going to show you the evidence of what words can do in the hands of evildoers. The children of Ephraim, being armed and carried bows, turned back in the day of battle. They kept not the covenant of Yahweh and refused to walk in his law. This is what they was doing. And forgot his work and his wonders that he had showed them. He showed them. When you go into a house and you get ready to buy, the person that is showing you the house is showing you the work of the house. You're not going in the house by yourself and say, oh, I take this. This is what the swatters is doing to the rich now. Because they're not there. They're showing themselves their own house and taking it. No, it's not right. It would never be right. But they didn't work for it from themselves. They just bought it with their money. They didn't labor and have someone to say, I get out there and build it with you and help you. I want to do works on what I'm buying and possessing. No, they said, I pay you, you build it and do the work, and I comfort zone of it. Let's read on. Marvelous thing did he in the sight of their fathers, in the land of Egypt, in the field of Zonah. He divided the sea and caused them to pass through, and he made the waters to stand as in heat. In the daytime also he led them through with a cloud, and all the night with a light of fire. He cleaved the rock in the wilderness, and gave them drink as out of the great depths. He brought stream also out of the rock, and caused water to run down like rivers. And they sinned yet more against him by provoking the Most Highs in the wilderness. All this they sin, they still couldn't stop sinning. How did that sin got so embedded in them? Seeing what he done, that was enough to keep them for their generation into their children's generation not to want to commit sin and mess with Almighty. Yet they spoke against Yahweh. They said, can Yahweh furnish a table in the wilderness? Asking this question. Yahweh did all these things. Can he put a table out there for us to eat off of? Can he make us sit down that we can get fat from the table of the food? These are things they were saying in their spirit out of their mouth, provoking him to anger. Behold, he smote the rock that the water gushed out, and the stream overflowed. Can he give bread also? We want a furnished table. Furnish us with the food. You done did all these signs of wonders and wonderful work. Now we're going to prove you. We seen all these things, but we don't know who did it. Can you be the one that did all that? Prove yourself. Furnish us a table with bread on it. Can he provide food, flesh for his people? Look at the question they're murmuring, complaining with. Therefore Yahweh heard this and was angry, was wroth. So a fire was kindled against Jacob, and anger also came up against Israel, because they believed not in Yahweh and trusted not in his salvation. They had no trust in his salvation. They believe they can do this without trusting him. Say these things without no consequence from their tongue action that would take place upon them. Though he had commanded the cloud from above and opened the door of heaven and had rained down manna upon them to eat and had given them the corn of heaven, man did eat angel food. He sent them food to the full. He caused an east wind to blow in the heaven, and by his power he brought in the south wind. He rained flesh also upon them as dust, feather fowls like as the sand of the sea. He let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitation. All that was greedy and had provoked him to anger was rushing after the food, thinking that we proved who he was. We made him answer us. And that's what faith is trying to do. And you don't see, it didn't come from Yahweh. It didn't come from Yeshua. It didn't come from Yeshua's scribes that he sent them. Satan put that word into play, because he knew Yahweh always shows signs and wonders, evidence of what he do. He is the one that can prove the evidence. Satan can't. Evidence will be against him. That's why he hide. He go to and forth in the earth, seeking who he may devour. He transforms himself as an angel of light. He always trying to deceive and mislead the human race, to take on something that is not of Yahweh, and to deny Yahweh existed on behalf of what he has done for his people. Let's read on. So they did eat and were filled, for he gave them their own desire. He gave them their own desire to do these things. Look what took place from this. They were not entangled from their lust, but while their food, meat was vent in their mouth, yet in their mouth, the wrath of Yahweh came upon them and slew the fattest of them and smote down the chosen men of Israel. Now this is what he did to those he just brought out of bondage. You can come out of bondage and walk right into religion of another denomination or a organization or a tradition of man building a religion setting. And when you do that, you done forgot his wonderful work. He delivered you to know him, not them. Not to go in among them, because you don't know their work. But they telling you, come on in, brother and sister. Come on in. Have faith in God. There's no evidence of him there. It's the evidence of a man's voice or a harlot whore calling herself a prophetess or a minister of Yahweh. But it's a Jezebel spirit saying, come on in. I'm going to teach you the way of Yahweh. By faith, listen to me. You got to have faith to please Yahweh. Without faith, it's impossible to please him. Without work, you can't please him. Without truth, you cannot please Yahweh. Truth is what pleases Yahweh. When a man and a woman can sit down and speak the truth one to another, that pleases Yahweh. When two brothers can sit down as men and talk the truth one to another, that pleases Yahweh. Because truth gonna bring forth evidence of their conversation by the fruit of their doing. But faith don't have evidence. It can't prove itself worthy of anything. We're going to see this with Barak and Jeremiah. How evidence did the works on behalf of what Yahweh told them to do. And we're going to see how Satan tried to destroy the works of Yahweh by evidence. We're going to finish reading this. For all this they sinned and still, and believed not for his wonderful work. Wonders work. They believe not. And when Satan can put you in the midst of this and take you away from the truth, you ain't got a foundation to believe no more. You're operating out of deception, deceit, but you're blind leaders of the blind, and you're both going to fall into a pit. And the pit going to have you hurt and wounded. And you're going to have to cry out to your maker and creator. Oh, Yahweh, have mercy upon me, that you may show me where I err at, how I failed in this situation and stuff. You were missing something. You were missing the fruit of the Spirit. We're going to get into that. I'm saying this, but I'm going to show you the truth. That's what I say by witnessing and ministering unto you about the truth. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. When he slew them, then they sought him, and they returned and inquired early after him. When he just began to destroy them, then they started seeking after him. They began to wonder what was going on with their salvation. Why did he turn around after doing us good and do us evil? Because there was not truth there inside of them to live by. And he can deliver you here and destroy you here. The book of Joshua. Let's turn over to the book of Joshua. Joshua, the 24th chapter, verse 19. And we're going to see what Joshua had to say to the people so they can understand the message that he's trying to give them concerning deliverance, concerning serving Yahweh, concerning his works and stuff. Joshua 19. And Joshua said unto the people, you cannot serve Yahweh, for he is holy creator. He is a jealous creator. He will not forgive your transgression nor your sin. If you forsake Yahweh and serve strange gods' divinity, then he will turn and do you hurt and consume you after he had done you good. You see, Yahweh is Yahweh. He can deliver you from the house of bondage. And you get out there murmuring, complaining, and go somewhere and serve other things besides serving him. Because you didn't cry out to those other things. You cried out to him. And he delivered you from those things. In return, he wants you to serve him, not those things. So when you get delivered and go that way, after you seen your deliverance, now you finna see your destruction coming from the same one that delivered you. Because Satan ain't going to deliver you. He's not a deliverer. He don't work in delivering souls from affliction. He don't work in answering your prayers in the time of need. He working, the thief come not but to steal, kill, and destroy. Yeshua said, I come that you may have life and life more abundantly. Beautiful, prospering in the goodness of him in the land of the living. Not in the goodness of what you possess, but in him. In him. So this same creator that delivered you out of the house of affliction, you turn around and go somewhere else. It's the same one to do you hurt after he done done you good. Verse 21. And the people said unto Joshua, no, but we will serve Yahweh. And Joshua said unto the people, you are witness against yourself that you have chosen you, Yahweh, to serve him. And that means when he deliver you, you come to serve him, not the church. Well, fail not to assemble yourself together as men often did and stuff. Well, these men fell because they didn't have the Spirit. When you got the Spirit where 2 or 3 gather together in his name, he's in the midst. And if you got a wife serving with you and you got a family with you, then you're bringing up your family in the way they should go, and you're serving Yahweh according to his will. First, prove your own house worthy of acceptance. Prove your own house that you didn't build this house upon adulteries and fornication. Because he don't dwell in no house that is in sin and iniquity. He's not the author of confusion, but of peace, which is in all the assembly of the saints. This is what Paul was saying over in Corinthians 14, verse 33. Yahweh is not the author of confusion, but of peace, which is in all the assembly of the saints. So, how do we come to this? The people said, yeah, we're going to serve Yahweh. Joshua, you can tell us this, but we're going to still serve him. And they said, we'll witness. Now therefore put away, said he, the strange divinity which are among you, and incline your mind, your heart unto Yahweh, the creator of Israel. And the people said unto Joshua, Yahweh, our creator, will we serve, and his voice will we obey. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day, and set them a statute and an order in Shittim. So he made them have a covenant with their oath. He made them to say, okay, you swore unto yourself, you're witnessing to yourself, and there ain't gonna be no other witness but yourself when you depart from him. Your evidence is going to be proven that you departed from him. You are the evidence. You become the evidence when you become the witness to something. You the evidence. Let's go back over here. Book of Tehillim. The book of Psalms. Verse, again, 35. And they remembered that Yahweh was their rock and their high creator, their redeemer. Nevertheless, they did flatter him with their mouth, and they lied unto him with their tongue. This thing was written by the scribes that Yeshua sent to keep the scribes that Satan had from taking these things away, that you wouldn't know these took place. See, there's a spiritual warfare going on in this book called 1611 King James Version Revised Standard. There's a spiritual warfare going on. Just like it was in heaven, it's here on earth. And it's in this book. And those that hunger and thirst after righteousness shall be filled. If it were possible, the very elect would be deceived. It's not possible. The deceiver worked through religion. He's an angel of light transformed himself as a minister, his angels as ministers of righteousness, who end shall be according to their work, the fruits. According to their work, the fruit that they bear. You will know it at the end, but it'll be too late for some of you all. It'll be too late because you saw their works, not from the beginning, but at the end, where they have taken your soul clean out of you. In the last breath of life, you'll see how I was deceived. I was led astray by a lying spirit. And these things happen so fast that you won't even know what took place with a lying spirit that can come after you. And you know what? Second Chronicle. Second Chronicle, 18th chapter. Let me show it to you now so you understand why I keep saying a spirit, a lying spirit, enticed spirit. But you got to know where it's coming from at the time it take place with a person or yourself. Where's it coming from? Because Satan is the father of lies. He will lie all day long. He put faith into a lying spirit and got people living by faith and no evidence of no fruit bearing. Living by grace but can never sit upon the mercy seat to be forgiven of sin. Because he took away the word mercy. And most people love the word grace because they don't have to deal with no law. They don't have to deal with no commandments. They don't have to deal with precept, testimony, be a witness to anything. They're just living by faith. Let's read on here. This is dealing with Ahab and Jehoshaphat. 18th chapter, you read this right here. And you'll see what was taking place. How Jehoshaphat and how he had to tell the prophet to speak unto me the truth. But there was another king with him. And this king Ahab was a dangerous, weak king. Very dangerous. His wife ruled him, Jezebel. He couldn't stand up on his own 2 feet. But Jehoshaphat came to him and dealt with him concerning the matter of go to war with him. And going to war with him, he wanted to inquire of Yahweh concerning his prophet. But Ahab had his own prophets to speak the word good unto him. Because the prophet of Yahweh didn't do nothing but tell him the truth about matters. And he didn't want to hear the truth. It disturbed him. With nothing good coming out of truth for him. As you read that, you will see. We're going to start, in verse 17. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, that's Ahab, did I not tell you that he would not prophesy good unto me, but evil? Ask Jehoshaphat that question. Again he said, therefore hear the word of Yahweh. I saw Yahweh sitting upon his throne. Now, the prophet Micah is saying something to them that they don't understand. But Jehoshaphat wants to understand. Sitting upon the throne, and all the hosts of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. On his left. That's what they were standing, on the right and the left, the hosts of heaven. And as they standing there, they hearing what is taking place. And Yahweh finna ask them a question. And Yahweh said, who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramallah, Galilee? And one spoke, saying after this matter, and another was saying after that matter. They all were trying to answer him according to the matter of what and who was going to go there and get advantage of Ahab. Yahweh wanted him to reap what he sowed. This is in the Old Testament. You reap what you sow in life, whether you in the Testament or not. Whether you in this covenant or not. Whether you in this book or not, or the Lamb book or not. You're going to reap what you sow. Yahweh is not mocked. So he asked this question: who shall entice Ahab from me? Verse 20, then there came out a spirit and stood before Yahweh and said, I will entice him. And Yahweh said unto him, wherewith? What kind of spirit you going to entice him with? How you going to entice him? The other one didn't give Yahweh that answer, because they didn't understand sin and transgression. They saw it, but they didn't live in it. They wasn't part of it. They was pure in their creation. So they was trying to figure out how we going to deal with this flesh on earth. And the spirit that came and said this right here. Verse 21. And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And Yahweh said, you shall entice him, and you shall also prevail. Go out and do even so. And that's what took place. And you'll see Ahab died because he tried to disguise himself in the matter of what was going on. And he cried out when the bow hit him, and he slumbered down in his carriage and died. But what spirit got him was a lying spirit in all the mouth of his prophets. A lying spirit. And that same lying spirit has enticed you with voting, dealing with Trump. What spirit got Trump is a lying spirit. And it entice you to vote for him. Because you are those false people that you don't have and don't want to see the evidence against a man. He lied his way out with a lying spirit. But you can't not escape a lying spirit. Once it get in, its course is to bring you to death. To death. To the grave. To the pit. Because it entices you to turn away from the truth. Jehoshaphat wanted the truth. Tell me. Don't talk to me like those other prophets. You tell me the truth about this matter. Should I go up or should I not? He wanted to know the truth. And the truth set him free. Because he had evidence to the witness of the truth. Go back here. So when you hear me say that's a lying spirit, that's a spirit, you see how Yahweh scribes enable that to be placed there for us. It was written for our example. It was written for our learning. Everybody don't have time to study to show themselves approved unto workmen, to Yahweh, workmen, and needed not to be ashamed, but rightly divide the word of truth. But his elect that he has chosen and ordained and gave them the ministry or reconcile people back to Yahweh. If they cry loud and spare the truth, truth is not going to spare them in the day of death and in the day of judgment. Because you're supposed to warn the people. Now there's no warning of what's going out today. The warning is, if you don't give money to the church, you ain't blessed. And if you ain't living by faith, you ain't got salvation in Jesus Christ. But there's no fruit bearing coming out of adulterous fornication. There's no fruit bearing what Creflo Dollar Jr. told you. He deceived you, misled you. But he didn't give up no jet, didn't give up that church building. He haven't gave up that house. He haven't gave nobody thousands of dollars that gave him thousands of dollars to get rich quick off of the ministry. That's what they do. I heard him do that. Did he give it back, all of it? Because he couldn't keep none for himself. The man ain't had a job to make that kind of money. He made that kind of money off of you giving. And at the time he trying to tell you he error, he wrong, did he give it back to the people that he had records, evidence showing that they paid their tithes and offering? Did he give it back? No, he didn't. You're being misled. You're being deceived by a false, lying, enticing spirit. Let's read on. That declare unto you, you're living by faith without evidence of seeing your Creator. Without evidence knowing He exists. There's no evidence. Just live by faith. It's the evidence of things not seen. You ain't got to worry about life situation. Just go and get a house with the money you got and tell them, I believe in faith in God. Okay, get you that. Get you that. We'll give you this house. We'll give you this car by your faith. Time you miss a payment, evidence going to come and show you repossession. That's the evidence of your faith. Repossession. They ain't going to let you keep it. They'll take your money because they're going to take the house back and the car back time you start missing payment. That's the evidence of things not seen. They're going to prove it to you. Let's read on. But he being full of compassion forgave their iniquity and destroyed them not. Yet many a time turned he his anger away and did not stir up all his wrath. For he remembered that they were but flesh, a wind that passes away and come not again. How often did they provoke him in the wilderness and grieving him in the desert? Yet they turned back and tempted Yahweh and limited the set apart one of Israel. They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from their enemy. He did that by works. And they forgot it so easy. Blinded by lust. Blinded by their own desire. They would not want to live up under a creator like this. We need a man we can mislead and deceive. We don't need him. We didn't prove him. And he killed all of them there, tempting him to furnish a table in the wilderness. This is what I want you to continue to read. You'll see all this right here, his word. You'll see how all this right took place. And I'm going to come down to verse 55 because I want you to see what the scribe went into this at. Satan's scribe went into this. And he cast out the heathen also before them and divided them as inheritance by line, and made the tribes of Israel to dwell in their tent. Yet they tempted and provoked the Most High's Creator, and kept not his testimony, but turned back and dealt untrustworthy, untruthfulness, untruthful. But it's the word here. You look it up in concordance. Untrustworthy. Like their father, they were turned aside like a deceitful bow. And you read this on down, you'll see how Yahweh dealt with them through all his signs and wonders and work. Now, as I've been saying, to show you these things right here, because as I speak against it, you got to give me time to prove my evidence. So I'm going to go into the book of Jeremiah. And we're going to turn in Jeremiah, chapter 36. This is something that took place with Jeremiah, where Yahweh knows that the Hebrews needed land after captivity, the one that was going to go in it. So he did something here, and we're going to get into what he did. We're going to see what he did in the way he did it, who he used to do this, and how Satan used his people to destroy this. But they couldn't destroy Yahweh. He can make the scribe do it again. Barak. And it came to pass in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Joshua, king of Judah, that the word came unto Jeremiah from Yahweh, saying, Take you a scroll, a roll, a book, and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto you against Israel. And take this and write it down. But Jeremiah was going to be the writer. He got someone to write for him. He is the one to speak by the Spirit. But he got someone that is of the same Spirit, that is truthful, and trustworthy to write down what he was saying. Let's read on. Take you a roll, a scroll, a book, and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto you against Israel and against Judah and against all the nations from the day I spoke unto you, from the day of Joshua, even unto this day. Verse 3. It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I propose to do unto them, that they may return every man from his evil way, that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin. Now, Yahweh was trying to show them mercy and them turning from their sin and iniquity. But he wanted them to hear the writing of what he was saying. He could have did it any other way he wanted to, but he did it this way here for evidence. Then Jeremiah called Baruch, the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of Yahweh. From his mouth. He was a scribe now. Everything that Jeremiah was saying, the scribe was writing. And he was writing because he was proving trustworthy unto Jeremiah. And Yahweh used Baruch to speak the truth from the writing that he heard from Jeremiah's lips, without no error taking place. Because it was so important for him to tell the truth about the matter, and it was so important for Baruch to write down the truth about the matter, so that the person that read the matter will understand the mercy of Yahweh, if they repent. And Jeremiah, the mouth of Jeremiah, all the words of Yahweh, which he had spoken to him upon a scroll of a book. And Jeremiah commanded Baruch, saying, I am shut up, I'm restricted, I'm confined, I cannot go into the house of Yahweh. They had him in captivity. They had him in a place that he could not freely do what he wanted to do. So he commanded Baruch, therefore go you and read in the roll, the scroll, which you have written from my mouth. From my mouth, read it unto them. The words of Yahweh in the ears of the people in Yahweh's house upon the fasting day. And also you shall read them in the ears of all Judah that come out of their cities on that day. It may be they will present their supplication before Yahweh and will return everyone from his evil way. For great is the anger and the fury that Yahweh has pronounced against this people. So Yahweh is trying to give them a warning concerning this matter. And he's going to do it to manifest the deeds of the one that had the authority over the people. The one that had authority over the people then was the king and the prince and the scribes. And Baruch the son of Neriah did according to all that Jeremiah the prophet commanded him, reading in the book the words of Yahweh in Yahweh's house. And it came to pass in the 5th year, I'm going to come on down. You can see right here in verse 10. Then read Baruch in the book the words of Jeremiah in the house of Yahweh, in the chamber of these other scribes, the son of these names. I can't pronounce that good, so I ain't going to try it. So understand the reason why. The scribes in higher courts and the entry of the new gate of Yahweh's house in the ears of all the people. Now this is what was taking place here. And you'll see here when Yeshua said in Matthew 23 here, verse 34, that he sent them some. After this is the ninth scribe. You read from 23rd chapter, it was reproof 8 times to the Pharisees and the scribes and the hypocrite. But in verse 34, he says something here. Wherefore, behold, I sent unto you prophets and wise men and scribes, like Baruch. Wise men, prophets. And some of them you shall kill and crucify. And they did it. Because they was under the Pharisee doctrine with the scribes that was writing, which you're going to find out. Right over here back in the book of Jeremiah, 36th chapter, you're going to find out how this took place. You'll see it. Had heard out of the book all the words of Yahweh, verse 11, verse 12. Then he went down into the king's house into the scribe's chamber. And lo, all the princes sat there, even all the men that were princes, all the one down, Hananiah, and all the princes. Then Michael declared unto them all the word that he had heard when Baruch read the book in the ears of the people. Verse 14. Therefore all the princes sent the scribes forth to hear what was saying unto Baruch, saying, take in, verse 14, take in your hand the roll, the scroll, when you hast read in the ears of the people, and come. So Baruch began to do this, according to what they were saying. So Baruch the son of Neriah took the scroll in his hand and came unto them. And look what they began to say. And they said unto him, sit down now, and read it in our ear. So Baruch read it in their ears. Now it came to pass when they had heard all the words that were afraid both one and other, and said unto Baruch, we will surely tell the king of all these words. They want to go and tell the king of all these words that they hear coming from Baruch, from Jeremiah the prophet. Because Baruch was a scribe. But he had to declare himself to them. Because they want to know how you do it. And they asked Baruch, verse 17, saying, tell us now, how did you write all these words at his mouth? How you do that, Baruch, to write down every word that Jeremiah was saying from his mouth? Tell us. Because this is a mystery to us. We want to know. We want to know how this take place, because they didn't tell Baruch, but they're going to use it against the people with their scribes once they knew who he was and what he did. They want to know. Then Baruch answered them, he pronounced all these words unto me with his mouth, and I wrote them with an ink in the book. They didn't know how he did it. How could Jeremiah be speaking and he was not there? How could his presence be in that and he wasn't there? Because Baruch wrote down every word that he spoke and put it in the book according to the command of Jeremiah, his friend, that he trusted in and was proven trustworthy of his deed. Let's read on here. Then said the prince unto Baruch, go hide you and Jeremiah, and let no man know where you be. You better go and hide before we present this before the king. Because we know what kind of king he is. So you better find a hiding place. Because he's going to be after you to kill you. They didn't heard the word, but they couldn't take the spirit of the word. And they went into the king into the court, but they laid up the scroll in the chamber of Elishama the scribe, and told all the words in the ear of the king. So the king now finna get beside himself from hearing what Jeremiah was saying. So the king sent out one of the men to fetch the roll, and he took it out of Elishama the scribe chamber. And the man read it in the ear of the king, and in the ear of all the princes, which stood beside the king. All of them finna hear this message. Now the king sat in the winter house in the 9th month, and there was a fire of the heather burning before him. They had a pit, an area with wood, burning fire, keeping warm, a chamber of a fireplace in his midst. And it came to pass that when the man had read 3 or 4 what you call columns, centers, levels, this is what they were saying. Look how this man act. And it came to pass that when the man had read 3 or 4 columns, he cut it with the penknife and cast it into the fire that was on the fireplace, until all the rolls, all the scroll was consumed in the fire that was in the fire pit, that they were keeping warm by. His anger at hearing the truth rose up and destroyed the book. He only had to hear 2 or 3 sentences being written and read to him for him to destroy the book. Yet they were not afraid. Verse 24. They was not afraid, nor rent their garment, neither the king nor any of his servants that heard all these words. And you can see these men right here were trying to make intercession to the king, verse 25, that he would not burn the scroll, but he would not hear them. He didn't want nothing from this scroll to tell him what to do. That was the matter with the king. He didn't want to be told what to do. He was stubborn, high-minded, proud, sitting upon a throne in flesh, and knowing not that the worm consumed the flesh in the grave. He had no idea whose spirit he was sitting in while he was talking and doing those things. But the king commanded these men, all of them, the scribe and Jeremiah the prophet. But the Yahweh hid them. He wanted them found. He wanted them killed. He commanded all these men to look for them, find them, search the whole place. I want them. Then the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah after that the king had burned the roll, and the word which Baruch wrote at the mouth of Jeremiah, saying, take you again another scroll, and write in it all the former words that were in the first roll, which Johanna the king of Judah had burned. And you shall say to Johanna, king of Judah, thus saith Yahweh, you have burned this roll, saying, why hast thou written therein? Saying, the king of Babylon shall certainly come and destroy this land, and shall cause to cease from their mans and beasts. Therefore thus said Yahweh to the king of Judah, he shall have none to sit upon the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out in the day to the heat, in the sun, and in the night to the frost. He will remain there. And I will punish him and his seed and his servant for their iniquity. And I will bring upon them and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem and upon the men of Judah all the evil that I have pronounced against them but they listened not, they hearkened not, they didn't care. Then took Jeremiah another roll and gave it to Baruch the scribe, the son of Neriah, who wrote therein from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the book which the king of Judah had burned in the fire. And there was added beside unto them many like words. So you see, the words of the scribes was taking place, going back and forth. Yahweh had his, Satan had his. When Yahweh's word was trying to get to his people, Satan had his people to destroy the words that Yahweh was using with his scribes. That Yeshua sent them to him. He knew he had sent them to him before he came. He was already trying to reveal to them their iniquity and their sin so they can repent, because you sitting there in David's throne, upon David's throne. And you're supposed to be acting in the will of the people, not in your will. The will of the people. So Jeremiah and Baruch was instructed of Yahweh to take another scroll and write it in it. But tell them what's going to happen to them this time. To them, person, and to his seed. What I'm going to do to them. And the other things in the book. So that they will be without excuse concerning this matter. Now there's another thing that is taking place here. Because in this right here, most people don't see it. And we go to Jeremiah 32. And we're going to see how I told you about the evidence dealing with faith. That was dealing with the scribes. Show you how Satan changed and took away the words. Because faith has no evidence of anything that is seen. And this is why Yahweh used this to take place in this matter. So it can get to his people that got ears to hear what the Spirit is saying. In the book of Jeremiah chapter 32. The word that came to Jeremiah from Yahweh in the 10th year of Zedekiah, king of Judah, which was the 18th year of Nebuchadnezzar. For then the king of Babylon army besieged Jerusalem, and Jeremiah the prophet was shut up. That's why he was in prison when that took place here. In the court of the prison, which was in the king of Judah house. For Zedekiah, king of Judah, had shut him up, saying, Wherefore do you prophesy and say, Thus said Yahweh, Behold, I will give this city into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he shall take it. Why is you saying these things against my kingdom? Why are you acting like this to me, Jeremiah? I'm going to lock you up for your words being said to the king. I have the authority to do what I want to do. That is not so. You have no authority to do what you want to do. And the king of Judah shall not escape out of the hand of the Chaldeans, but shall surely be delivered into the hand of the king of Babylon, and shall speak with him mouth to mouth, and his eyes shall behold his eye. And now you see what finna take place is being read here. Verse 5. And he shall lead the king Zedekiah to Babylon, and there shall he be until I visit him, said Yahweh. Though you fight with the Chaldean, you shall not prosper. Go up to battle, but you won't prosper. You're not going to win no victory. You're not going to get victory out of what you went up to. And Jeremiah said, the words of Yahweh came to me saying, here go the evidence of what taking place. I ain't going to go through all of it because I want you to read it for yourself, but I'm going to go through the important parts of it for you concerning faith. The evidence of things not seen. Behold, the son of Shalom, your uncle, shall come unto you. Your cousin gonna come unto you. The son of your uncle. And say unto you, buy you my field that is in Anatot, for the right of redemption is yours to buy it. Your redemption is in your hand to buy this land from me. It's your inheritance, part of your inheritance. You can buy. Okay. So his cousin, his uncle's son, came to me in the court of the prison according to the word of Yahweh, and said unto me, buy my field, I pray you, that is in this town, which is in the country of Benjamin, one of the 12 tribes. For the right of inheritance is yours, and the redemption is yours. Buy it for yourself. Then I knew that, this is what Jeremiah said, then I knew that this was the word of the Creator, of Yahweh. I knew it was the word of Yahweh telling me to buy this right here. But now, here go stopping deceit. Here go stopping, oh, buy it for me for faith. Just buy it to me for faith. It's yours. Just give me the money and have faith that the land is yours. This is what Jeremiah did. Verse 9. And I bought the field of my cousin, my uncle's son, that was in the city of that town, and weighed him the money, even 17 shekels of silver. And I subscribed the evidence. I wrote the evidence. Even though I knew it was the word of Yahweh and he was my cousin, I needed evidence. If anything happened to me, this been purchased. I needed evidence to prove it belonged to me in case I die and don't get out of prison. I need evidence if it's going to be given to the people after me further on down in captivity when they come out. This place that is in the tribe of Benjamin, this town that I purchased. You ain't going to talk to me about faith without no evidence proving that I purchased this. When you go and buy a car, you don't tell the dealer and you don't tell the salesman, oh, I buy this car. I don't need evidence that I didn't buy it. I don't need evidence to say it belonged to me. I got faith to believe that it belonged to me. Give him the money. Give it to him and leave. And see what evidence you'll have when you come back. If you don't get it from the beginning before you put money down, and when you put money down, if you leave out of there without no evidence, you have nothing. Nothing. If you go to the airport and you book a flight to leave from one country to another country, and your flight says 24 hours or 3:15 departure time, and you get there and say, I don't need evidence, I just need to get on a plane and go. What time a plane is going out to Africa? What plane is going out to England? To Asia? Just give me a plane, don't worry about all the other stuff. And they'll look at you like you a lunatic person, because you're trying to speak to them about faith without evidence of things seen. You just want them to believe what you're saying. You need no evidence, because you've been taught that doctrine. And that doctrine had people believing that it was a rapture was going to take place in the 90s, in the 88. A rapture was going to take place. They're going to be raptured up. They gave all their money possession to a man that taught them the rapture was going to appear. It didn't happen 2 or 3 times in America among the church people, the Christian. And none of them were wise enough to say, what evidence you got to prove to me, if I'm going to be caught up, why you need my money to stay here? Why should I be giving you my possession? What about your own possession? What you going to do with it? You don't need mine. In case there's no evidence that this take place and I'm just believing what you're saying, I'm going to wait and see. But they didn't have common sense to recognize they were being deceived by faith teaching. They didn't. And a lot of people's life was shipwrecked. A lot of people's life was hurt because no rapture took place. No evidence of thing seen. He gave him no evidence, just taught faith to him. Believe. Give me your money. Give me your possession. You'll be caught up tomorrow. You don't need it. Leave it at the church. And they didn't get none of that stuff back neither. They were too ashamed to ask for it back. But they were deceived and misled. No evidence. Let's read on here. Verse 10. And I subscribed the evidence and sealed it and took witness. He had witness now. Jeremiah subscribed this. He got it, wrote down, he sealed it, and took witness and weighed him the money in the balance. He gave him the money after he had witnessed, after he had wrote it down, after he had proof of what was being given to him. He gave him the money. Now this was a wise man that was not going to let the words of Yahweh entice him by another spirit saying, have faith in me. My uncle said he'll give you this. I'm your cousin. Have faith in me. Give me the money and I'll bring you, when it's time, the deed of this land. He couldn't go to Jeremiah like that. And no one should come to you like that telling you, have faith in the things that you have not seen. Just believe. If you just believe, then you have to mislead and deceive yourself by the deceiver doctrine, damnable doctrine, doctrine of demons, because you turn away from the love of the truth. Now, there's a truth taking place here, not faith. This is truth. Let's see how it manifests itself. Verse 11. So I took the evidence of the purchase. He took the evidence of the purchase, just like you would take, you buy a house, you buy a car, you buy a grocery, you get the receipt. You got evidence so no one can accuse you falsely that you took something that didn't belong to you. Or you can tell them, have faith in me. I didn't do that. Trust me, I didn't do that. Trust don't go with faith. Faith don't have the foundation of trust. Trust go with truth. Faith is out there by itself. And it grab in grace sometimes to manipulate faith in people that want to believe faith. They sing you these songs about faith. They tell you in these churches they can never ever get in one accord. They've been on the block long as you've been living. They can never ever tell you the truth. They give you what you want to hear, and you desire to hear more good words and fair speeches, telling stories about the scripture. I have not and will not declare unto you a story about other men's life when my life is at hand for me to speak the truth and live by. That's my life in this dispensation. To live in the truth, to speak the truth, to walk in truth, to have a love in truth. Because the truth is what set me free from lies and deceit and falsehood and false accusation, because I got evidence and I got witness. Accordingly, if I'm falsely accused of something. Let's read on. Verse 11. So I took the evidence of the purchase, both that which was sealed according to the law, and custom, that which was open. Verse 12. And I gave the evidence of the purchase unto Barak, the son of Nimrod, the son of these other men in the sight of his cousin, my uncle's son, and in the presence of the witnesses that subscribed the book of the purchase, before all the Hebrews that sat in the court of the prison. He had a full circle of evidence and witness. And he had the book sealed and subscribed that he had purchased. He had proof. He had a receipt. He did not let his cousin come in and say, this is yours. Just give me the money and have faith that this will be yours later on in life. He didn't operate that way. He operated with evidence, witnesses, to make sure the truth would defend what he did in the latter days. And I charge, verse 13, and I charge Barak before them, saying, thus said Yahweh of hosts, the creator of Israel, take these evidence, not faith. Faith is the evidence of things not seen. Not seen. If faith were operating, Jeremiah couldn't see this. He couldn't have witnesses and stuff. If faith were operating and stuff, he had to believe what this man was saying and give him the money, believing what that man was saying. But because he had evidence and he had the spirit of Yahweh in him, and Yahweh made sure that he was going to deal with, according to the law of evidence, things that can be proven. As Paul said in 1 Thessalonians 5:21, prove all things. Hold fast to that which is good, and abstain from all appearance of evil. You're going to have to come out of that spirit of delusion, of that lying spirit, because he has enticed you into another spirit of lying, that you are hiding behind something that you cannot see the works of your own creator. The evidence that he delivered you out of the house of bondage, because you don't bear fruits. And if you don't bear fruit, there's no evidence of what tree you are. Let's read on. Thus said Yahweh of hosts, the creator of Israel, take these evidence, this evidence of the purchase, both which is sealed, and this evidence which is open, one that is seen and one that is sealed. Take this right here, evidence, and put them in an earthen vessel, that they may continue many years. Seal this up. It's a reason why this is being sealed up. The evidence of this purchase that he bought with the money that Yahweh allowed him to have to purchase his inheritance for the elect's sake. For thus said Yahweh of hosts, the creator of Israel, house and field and vineyard shall be possessed again in this land. Now when I had delivered the evidence of the purchase unto Barak the son of Neriah, I prayed unto Yahweh, saying, O Yahweh creator, behold, you have made the heaven and the earth by your great power, and stretched out arm. Is there nothing too hard for you? There's nothing too hard for him. He proved all things. He showed himself in all ways. He never let evidence come forth that you may take on anything else. Praise Yahweh. I had to stop there and adjust my light. It might be a little brighter and stuff so I can see what I'm reading here. So praise Yahweh. Continue on here. And this is what took place. Verse 18. You show loving kindness to thousands, as Jeremiah was praying, and what Yahweh had done for his people, and recompense the iniquity of the father into the bosom of their children after them. The great, the mighty creator, Yahweh of hosts, is his name. great in counsel and mighty in work. For your eyes are open to all the ways of the Son of Men, to give everyone according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doing. And you see this right here. You see how Yahweh was entreated on behalf of Jeremiah's prayer unto him. And you see the evidence was sealed into an earth vessel to be kept for many years. And when you read down here, because you need to keep reading this to understand why he did this for those that will come after him. Verse 43. And fear shall be brought in this land, whereof you say it is desolated without man or beast. It is given into the hands of the Chaldeans. Men shall buy fields for money, and subscribe evidence, seal deals, and seal them, and take witness in the land of Benjamin. Exactly where the earthly vessel, the land that Jeremiah purchased, the people was going to be coming back there. Take witness in the land of Benjamin, and in the place about Jerusalem, in the city of Judea, and in the city of the mountains, and in the city of the valleys, and in the city of the south, for I will cause their captivity to return, said Yahweh. So he was going to bring people out of captivity from Babylon. But he had purchased that and put it into place, and it was sealed on behalf of them. Evidence that the land was bought and purchased by Jeremiah for the people of Yahweh to return into a desolated, uninhabited place. So you see, evidence is so important in dealing with this thing that the people have misled and deceived you by. Now I'm going to go through some scriptures here on behalf of you to show you these things right here that are taking place in the land today. How the word faith was right there replacing the word truth, and how trustworthy and trust, like Proverbs 3 chapter 3 was saying, I think verse 7, Proverbs 3 verse 5. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart, your mind, and lead not into your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh and depart from evil. But you got to trust in him first. You got to have trust, confidence, rely upon him. You got to know how to rely upon him. That means trust him. You can't talk faith to Yahweh. If you do, you're denying his evidence of works on behalf of you and what he did on behalf of his people, bringing them out of Egypt and in a house of bondage. Because all that was through signs and wonders of evidence proven on behalf of what he did and not some other did it. What he did. Now, as we come over here, we're going to deal with how the scribe put this in play right here. As I said, have patience with me. Because I'm coming out of your Bible as well as my Bible. I'm not reading from you the Torah or the Tanakh. I'm not reading from you some of the Sanskrit scrolls. I'm reading from you one of the books that were left. Of all books, that Yahweh left some of his scribes to put his spirit in for our dispensation, for their elect's sake, so they won't be deceived. Because most of the people back then couldn't read or write. They had to believe what the scribe was saying. And the scribe was writing what the kings were saying and the princes were saying, as you read in the book of Jeremiah, the 36th chapter. They want to know how that was taking place, how Barak was able to do that. And they got it. And the rest of them start bringing forth scribes, recorders. Their sons stayed in the midst of them, learning how to write from the lips of another man's mouth. And if you can't discern what spirit coming forth out of a person, you're going to be deceived by a lying spirit. They're going to take advantage of you in life. Over here in the book of Ephesians. Now we're going to deal with the fruits of the Spirit, how Satan took this out and put his word in it. Then we're going to go to the book of Galatians and deal with the fruits of the Spirit. In the book of Galatians, because we're going to deal with two of these at one time so I can get this to you. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, verse 9. We're going to see this. For the fruit of the Spirit is in. I mean, you got to get in this to be possession of this. I'm not stumbling with my word. I'm saying this because people stumble in their word, not knowing what spirit they're of. They don't know how to get in all righteousness and truth. You first must get in all goodness, righteousness, and truth to get the fruits of the Spirit. If you're not in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, you have no part of Galatians, 5th chapter, verse 22. For the fruit of the Spirit is love. But I'm going to get over here and deal with this. How the scribe put this in play. But we're going to deal with this. How Yahweh's scribe was trying to address the spirit that come from him. Not from them. Not from them. Because you got to possess the Holy Spirit. You got to know how to possess your vessel in honor and sanctification. You got to learn how to possess that which has been given to you from Abba, the Father. So, as we read this in verse 9, the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth. Not in faith. But the scribes over here, and this is where they err at and stumble at. And this is where your spirit will discern the truth of the message. In Galatians 5:22, for the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness. And they got faith, no truth. Now the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. But the fruit of the Spirit that is not in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, they added faith. And let's see how this right here is a stumbling block to you. Meekness and temperance. Now, temperance means self-control. Self-control. That's the first fruit you must possess, and they got it last. Because most people don't never get down to temperance, self-control. They are out of control of lust, lying, deceit, malice, jealous, envy, and yet they confess they're in love. You can see on all the writings of the marks on people that say they confess they're a Christian, and I have seen it. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, and peace. Oh, that's what they want, but they don't want to be in control. They don't want to be controlled. They don't want to be in a position that they have to possess their vessels. Once again, I said this. Over in the book of Thessalonians. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 3 and 4. For this is the will of Yahweh, even your sanctification. Now he's setting you apart through sanctification. That you should abstain from fornication. Don't get into a bed of a harlot or of a spirit of whoredom and get defiled when you declaim you're married unto the Lamb. When you enter into a marriage, you become the virgin. You become what Yahweh's looking for of his chaste virgin. You become what he has brought forth in his marriage, a wife unto him. So, with that, he set you apart. You got to abstain from letting someone touch you, handle you, or taste what they're trying to present before you. Because you're in sanctification, you belong to somebody. That every one of you should know how to possess. To possess their vessel. His or her vessel. In sanctification and honor. Now, if you ain't got temperance first working in you, how are you going to possess your vessel in sanctification and honor when you're out of control? When you cuss, when you get angry. When you're upset, wrath comes. You don't care what you say, what you do. You smoke and defile the temple. You drink and yet you go to church. Because they're doing it in moderation. There's no moderation in the lake of fire. There's no moderation in the kingdom of heaven. It's what Satan gave you to mislead you to be cast into the lake of fire with him in your moderation. Because you're sure going to say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, I never knew you. In your moderation. So this is what's taking place here. If you ain't got temperance and you're out of control, how you going to have love? How you going to have the most greatest spirit that Yahweh was given to mankind is to love one another when you're out of control? You're full of envy, jealousy, backbiting, whispering, hatred. You're full of unclean spirits. But you go to church and pay your tithes and offering, and you come back and you say, oh, I'm so loving. God loved me. Yeah. Satan of this world, the God of this world, he loves you. Being just like that. Because he put in place first that most people never get back in to see. You can't get the fruits of the Spirit if you are out of control. It won't come inside of you. I would not come into a house and go into a house where I hear shooting, cussing, screaming, hollering, drugs, alcohol, and all those possession of evil doing and say I'm going to abide in there with them. I would be a fool. And the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, it came into the world to reprove sin of righteousness and of judgment. So if you got the fruits of the Spirit operating in you, you must be in self-control at all times, because that is the one that must lead the body. It must be in the body first for you know how to speak, act, and be able to withstand the fiery darts of the enemy. Because they're going to attack you. And when they attack you, you can't get out of control to say and do anything that's not in the will of Yahweh. And this is the will of Yahweh, even your sanctification, that you should know how to possess your vessel in sanctification and honor. So, back here, they put faith. Oh, I'm going to operate in faith with my love. But there's no evidence of your love being shown. It's evidence of your ways and your attitude being shown. but not temperance and self-control. Not that you possess the fruit of the Spirit that is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. Because you got to be in something to get from something that you need. You got to be in the body to get of the body what you need for the body. If you're not in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, you ain't going to get the fruits coming into a body that is not in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. You'll get misled and deceived because you'll be out of control. And when you get in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, that vessel has become in sanctification and honor, and then temperance will start working on you, working with you to be in control, so that truth will lead the rest of the spirits to come inside of you. Without truth, they're not going to follow. They're not going to follow faith. They're not going to follow love. They're not going to follow joy and peace. They're going to follow truth, because the truth sets you free from all those other spirits. And then the rest of those spirits can come in and abide in you. Praise Yahweh. So that is one of them now. To show you how he took and put faith there and replaced truth and trust Yahweh. We went to Galatians. We got two of them out of there to see that. Let's go over here in 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy. Because I know that most people in the time that we're living in don't have a love for the truth. They don't. And they don't want it. They want to make money, eat, drink, and be merry in their ways and attitude and their behavior. Because you got to know how to possess your vessel in sanctification and honor when you say you've been born again, you've been saved. And if you are converted, you must have temperance and self-control. You cannot show that the Ruach Hadash is a wild, uncontrollable spirit. The Holy Spirit. And first, 2 Timothy, I don't want to go there first. I want to go to 2 Timothy. I said 1 Timothy. Forgive me. 2 Timothy chapter 4. We'll start at verse 1. This is Paul talking to Timothy, his young evangelist that's going out on behalf of him. I charge you, therefore, before Yahweh and Yeshua HaMashiach, who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearance and his kingdom. Preach the word. Be instant, in season, out of season. Reproof, rebuke, exalt with all long suffering and teaching, doctrine. He charging him, stay the course. In season, out of season, stay the course. In reproof or rebuke, stay the course. Stay the course in long suffering and words of encouragement. Stay the course. Because some people don't want to receive long suffering and encouragement to stay the course. So he charged him. Don't give up. Don't quit. Preach the word. Regardless of what season it is, preach the word. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. He couldn't have been talking about the world. He didn't put this charge upon Timothy to deal with the world. He was talking about the people that say they then came out from the world. They're in Yeshua. Paul knew they was not. He knew another doctrine had taken over that was coming forth from out among the Gentiles. Worshipping idols and images and crosses and everything. He saw that before he left. He saw the cross. He saw the confession of a new doctrine taking place. And it was Christianity. Springing up from nowhere. But it came from Constantine. Let's read on. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust. Their own lust. Because when lust conceive, it brings forth sin. When sin finish, it worketh death. So the works of lust is death. It's working while you're lusting. While you misleading and lying, it's working to produce death in your life. But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth. From the truth. That's what has happened. People don't have a love for the truth no more. They don't have a love to know what truth do for their life in living and dying. What truth do? They turned it away because another doctrine came in among them that they can hide behind because they have no evidence. They don't need works to be saved. They don't have to bear fruit of their salvation. They just got to have faith. And that damnable doctrine has destroyed many souls and destroying many as I speak. That's trying to live by faith. You can't live by faith when the evidence is showing you what you should live by. Your works. When you invite somebody in among you, you're looking at what kind of works they're doing that you're inviting in. If you know your brother and sister been doing this kind of work, messing with guns, been in the assembly of evildoers and stuff, laying up with a sodomite, another man and stuff, the woman laying up with another woman, and you invite them over, their works are before you. Whether you accept it or reject it, you're going to know them by their works, by their fruits. Because the evidence is going to show you that. But when you say you got faith, you don't want to deal with evidence. You don't want to hear anything. You got an attitude in your life, in your mind. You can't tell you nothing. You don't want to hear nothing. Because you've been turned into what he said here. Fables. Storytelling. You like people to tell you stories about other people. So it don't affect you. It can't prick your mind. You can't get pricked in your heart by stories. When you go to these big old cathedrals and big old mega churches and stuff, they're just telling you stories about the scriptures. They're not telling you about your sin and your iniquity. They're not telling you to come out of adulteries and fornication. It's not telling you the effects of adulteries. Proverbs 6:32 said, whosoever committed adulteries with a woman, whatsoever man, whoever he may be, committed adulteries with a woman, lack his understanding. He that does it destroy his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach, they're going to come forth from his adulterous act, shall not be wiped away. That's why when you make a vow and you perform an oath, that going to seal you unto death. If you're dealing with someone you has got in lust. But when you got somebody in Yeshua, that seal you into the day of redemption until you're taken out of the earth, because you're married to Yahweh. He shared you with another one that is married also to him. And he can take one and leave the other. He can take both. But he is not going to let you go horn after somebody else when you married to him and he's jealous over you. See, your salvation means more to him than you understand what it means to you. And by you lacking understanding what it means to you, the wicked one, Satan, come and blind your eyes and blind your mind and give you your desire of this world. But you got to bow down and worship him. And he going to conceal that from you, and you're worshiping him. He going to appear as an angel of light, that you're worshiping Yahweh. With your attitude, behavior, your deeds, and your evil, wicked, and wicked ways, you won't return from. You won't even listen. You don't have ears to hear what the Spirit is saying. But this is what took place here. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth, and shall be turned into fables. So Paul is telling young Timothy what they were going to do in the last days. But they did it in his time, because the people that was already doing it. We see they now in the people that is doing it now. They don't have a love for the truth. You try to tell them when Christmas comes, that spirit overwhelmed them. They don't want to hear you. They don't want to even recognize they serving paganism. They say they serving Jesus the day he was born. There's nowhere in the scripture that Yeshua told anybody to worship him on the day that he was born. He gathered his disciples together in the Passover, and he began to show them, if you eat of my body and drink of my blood, you do show his death till he come. That's what you'll show when you do that. If you want to show something, show that. But you must see and realize he instructed nobody with a Christmas tree and a Santa Claus. They compare Santa Claus with Almighty, saying he know when you're good and evil to your children. And you put gift before them, knowing that the gift blind the eyes of the wise and prevent the word of judgment. So you want those gifts. The howling want those gifts coming every year to them. More money, more gift. They're going to tell you stories. They're going to give you your Valentine Day, your Easter Day, your Christmas Day, your Thanksgiving Day, your New Year's Day. In return, they want your money, because they care not for the sheep, they care for wages. The harlots. In John chapter 10, you read it and you'll see what the harlot has to say. Yeshua exposed them, who they were, because they was not the shepherd that cared for the sheep. There was a harlot. Care not for the sheep, they care for wages. Let's go to the book of Titus. Chapter 1. Verse, we're going to start here, 4 to verse we'll go to 16. Because it's good in here that you see this and understand this. Verse 4, Titus chapter 1. To Titus, my own son, after the common truth. You see faith there. The common truth. You got grace right behind faith. To make sure these things will get inside of you, because they're not of Yahweh. To Titus, my own son, after the common truth. Mercy and peace from Yahweh the Father, Abba, and Yeshua HaMashiach, our Savior. For this call left I you in Crete, that you should set in order the things that are wanting, and ordain elders in every city, as I have appointed you. Now I appointed you to do these things, so this is what you do in every city. Okay? For a bishop must be blameless, as the steward of Yahweh. The bishop is not over the preacher. The bishop is not over the evangelist, the pastor, the teacher, or the prophet. The bishop is someone coming out looking for employment inside of a building that is established. And Paul is telling him they must be blameless. Requirement is met for them. Evidence must be proven on behalf of them. That's what he's telling them. I need evidence of these men coming in here. They must be blameless. The husband and one wife. How you going to find that out? You need evidence. You need witnesses to see what kind of man these are. Having, you see what they put here? Not faithful. But the word applied. Having trustworthy children, not accused of right unruly. Trustworthy children. For a bishop must be blameless, as the steward of Yahweh, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, nor striker, nor given to filthy lucres, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, set apart, temperance, holding fast you see how the scribe put that again? Faithful words as he had been taught. It should have been holding fast truthful words as he been taught, that he may be able by sound teaching both to exalt and to convince the gainsayer. That's what Paul was telling Timothy, that they were going to depart from the truth. They would not give ears to the most sound doctrine. He's saying the same thing to Titus, but they put faithful here when it should have been truthful here. Words as he had been taught. For there are many unruly and vain talkers, deceivers, especially the day of the circumcision. The circumcision was the so-called Jews, Hebrews. Circumcision was of those people. But he manifests what they could be. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially, he put clarity on that, especially the day of the circumcision. He wanted them to know who could mislead them the most. Whose mouth must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake. The only way you can teach somebody something for filthy lucre's sake is make sure they don't have a foundation to stand on. Make sure they cannot question evidence. That means evidence got to be removed. That's why in most cases and stuff that the criminal go free, it's because they have no evidence to convict them of. They have suppressed the evidence. They got rid of the evidence. They got rid of the witness. So it can't be proven. Now it's just your words against mine. And I'm saying, believe me, I got faith. I'm telling you the truth. Truth don't go with faith. Faith's trying to replace truth. That's a lying spirit. Let's read on. One of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said the Christians are always liars, evil beasts, slow-bellied. Of their own. That's the way they was. This witness is true. The witness is true that was saying that. He said this witness is true about those kind of people. About that kind of man that declared himself to be a prophet. The witness is true. Wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound. See? He just told them about the truth and they put faith back there, sound in the faith, with no evidence of anything seen. This is what you got to get that damnable spirit out of your mind that has been taught to you from this generation back through England in the writing of the scribes that rewrote this book and translated this book. But Yahweh also had some scribes in the midst of them that could not see what they was doing in this book for our sake. If it did, they would have removed all of it. And that's why the spirit of Yahweh is in this book. Satan can't quench the Holy Spirit, the Ruach Kodesh. He can't stop it. But he can also camouflage himself in a familiar spirit. Sound like, look like, act like it's of Yahweh, and it's not. Faith sound like it's of Yahweh, but it's not. It denied the evidence of Yahweh existing and done many signs of wonder through many great works. Great work that his right hand brought forth salvation unto his people. Great wonders and signs that they seen that the Almighty performed on behalf of them. And yet evidence would doubt it, faith would deny it. Faith would deny it. The evidence of things not seen. You got no evidence. How can you believe it? It's not seen. Let's read on. Not giving heed to Jewish, apostate, fables, and commandments of men that turn from the truth. Not turn from the faith. Turn from the truth. When you turn from the truth, only things waiting on you is a lying spirit. When you turn from the truth, you have no foundation to stand on. Whatever come your way, you can't stand because you don't have truth. Unto the pure, all things are pure. But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and their conscience is defiled. They profess that they know Yahweh, but in works, here it is. But in works, they deny him. That's faith teaching. They profess that they know Yahweh, but in work, they deny him. Because of faith deny him. I told you that. There's no evidence of things seen. It denied the works of Yahweh. It denied your works, that you can't bear fruit if you're trying to live by faith. Being abominable and disobedient, and into every good work reprobate. And that's why a lot of people's mind has become that way. Reprobate concerning the truth. If you try to talk the truth to them, you'll see that reprobate spirit come forth dealing with faith. You'll see that they say they're not up under no law. They don't have to keep the law. The law is spiritual. Paul said, I'm carnal. But the law was spiritual. The law came from Yahweh. It didn't come from man. Man didn't give the law to Yahweh. Yahweh gave the law to man. He declared his law unto Moses, to declare unto the people how to serve him and serve one another. Yeshua declared the Spirit, the tree of life, when he came to lay down his life that you may be reconciled back to the Father, Abba. Faith had nothing to do with that. It'll deny all that. It'll make you reprobate that you have not a love for the truth that you might be saved. Oh, well, where do you get that from? Let's turn over here. I'll show you where I got this from. In the book of Thessalonians, chapter 2. Chapter 2, Thessalonians. And we're going to see this right here. What I just said. Verse 7. As Shaul is talking about this, he's telling them concerning the day of Yeshua, that they be not soon shaken in mind of trouble, neither by spirit, nor by words, nor by letter, as from us, that the day of Yahweh is at hand. Yeshua is at hand. Alright. Let no man deceive you by any means. Verse 3. I'm going to get down to this. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of prediction. Who are they that are going to fall away first? It's the one that fell away from the truth. From the truth. And they went into sin, and when the man of sin of prediction came, they was already up under his wrath. They was already ready to serve him, because they was in the fullness of sin, in iniquity. Who oppose and exalt himself above all that is called Yahweh, or that is worship, so that he as Yahweh sitting in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh. This is the son of prediction in the temple that the Jews gonna build for him. The Hebrews know he don't dwell in no temple made by hand. You can't put a spirit in a temple, but a spirit can come in a temple, but you can't put down in one. They can walk in by themselves, but you can't gather them and place them nowhere. This is what's taking place here. Remember you not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. I gave you that. Remember that. And now you know what withhold that he might be revealed in his time. What's holding him to be revealed in his time? The works that is done by them that is doing it on behalf of him. That's what's withholding him. The works that they got to do on behalf of him, his people, his demons that dwell in these people. For the mystery of iniquity does already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Satan is letting the son of prediction do his work until he be taken out of the way. Yahweh is letting Satan do his work under the sun until he be taken out of the way. But the son of prediction going to be taken out of the way, and Satan got him fulfilling all these things taking place. Let's read on. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. The wicked one, Satan and his terrors. Yeshua going to destroy with the brightness of his coming. Verse 9. Even him who coming is after the work of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Even him who coming is after the working of Satan. And Satan going to be doing all his work with all power, signs, and lying wonders. That lying spirit. With his teaching, doctrine of demons. Having you believe you can live by faith without evidence in this world. Let's read on. Verse 10. With all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish. Because they perish with all this deceivableness and unrighteousness, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Faith can't save you. Satan is not in saving souls. He's in destroying souls. Truth is of Yahweh, is universal. You can leave this place and go to any other planet. If there be any other creature there, they're going to have a love for the truth. Whether you lying or telling the truth, where you from and what you're there for. When you leave the United States to go to Europe, Asia, Africa, Mexico, South America and stuff, whoever you speak going to know you're telling the truth to them or not. Because truth is universal. They're going to know you by your words and what you utter from your mind and heart concerning the truth of the matter. Because they have not a love for the truth that they might be saved. And for this reason, Yahweh shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Now, Paul knew what Yahweh was going to do. He knew that. And in the book of Isaiah, go to the book of Isaiah, 66th chapter. We're going to go over here and see what Isaiah said about the spirit of delusion. So I want to make sure that I give you the right chapter on this right here concerning the spirit of delusion. Okay. Isaiah 66, verse 4. This is what Yahweh said here concerning the things that he would do unto them and for them. I also will choose their delusion and will bring their fear upon them. When Paul was saying this in Thessalonica, the Yahweh over here, for this cause Yahweh shall send them strong delusion. Over here in Isaiah, he said, I also will choose their delusion. So he chose it and he sent it to them. Just like the lying spirit in 2nd Chronicles 18th chapter concerning enticing which one would go forth and deceive Ahab. And he said, I will go forth. And he said, wherewith? He said, with a lying spirit. And he said, go and you shall prevail. He chose that spirit to go out into the earth and prevail over King Ahab. He choose what spirit gonna possess you and overtake you when you don't have a love for the truth. And that's why the mouth of Donald Trump that can speak a lie with evidence against him and repeat it over and over again, he only gathering in those that don't have a love for the truth. Because the evidence was seen everywhere throughout the United States concerning the deeds that was done on that day and the evidence of what took place inside of that building that day. And the things that you don't know, instigator, took place that day among those people to instigate them. And at the end, declared that he loved them that did those deeds. And sound like someone with the scribe released on behalf of Yeshua, Barabbas. Away with Yeshua. Give us Barabbas, a murderer, a seduction. Give us the man that can instigate the crowd, the mob. But away with Yeshua. We don't want the truth. We don't want to hear the truth. You ain't going to stop what we're doing, because we can get rid of the truth by getting rid of you. And we'll keep doing what we're doing to the people. And they'll rather believe a lie than the truth. That's what is taking place in this country. A lying spirit had entered into him. And he got the mobs behind him. Just like Barabbas. So we read here again. And also would choose their delusion and would bring their fear upon them. Because when I called, none did answer. When I spoke, they did not hear. But they did evil before my eyes and choose that which I delight not. He chose their delusion. And he said over here, verse 11, for this call, Yahweh shall send them strong delusion that they shall believe a lie. Verse 12, that they may all be damned, who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Because truth sets you free from sin if you want to come out of sin. When someone telling you you're doing wrong and you acting wrong and your behavior is wrong and stuff, if you don't want to hear them, you ain't going to correct yourself. You say, wait with me. You don't tell me what to do. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown woman. I can do what I want to do. You cannot do what you want to do. The breath of life will be taken from you right then. And then what you're going to do is be cast into the lake of fire with the devil and his angel. You're not going to suffer in the grave. The flesh going to return back to dust where it was. That flesh going to go back to the grave of the dirt of the ground from which it came. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. That soul going to die of death in the lake of fire, being tormented for everlasting. Because you rebel against correction and instruction and in the way of life. To live righteous and holy among your fellow man. To do no evil to no one. To repent of anything you have said or done that is displeasing in his sight, because you got to have a conscience to know that you have wronged somebody by lying and deceiving them. And if you don't have that conscience, it's because you don't have a living soul. You're a vessel of dishonor. And Satan possessed that vessel. If you don't have a conscience. And you try to lie your way out of every situation that you're in. So you see in this the evidence of what faith will try to do if you're trying to live by it. It'll make you deny your creator. Deny your salvation. And you'll take up a curse and follow Satan. You'll take that curse up. Because the curse was only there for a moment. It's a curse thing for a man to hang on a tree, not a cross. And when you hang on the tree, they hang you by your neck. Your neck. And they cut your breath off from your neck. So you can't do anything with your body because you can't breathe no more the breath of life. And that's why they knew how to hang people on a tree with a rope and leave them up there, because the Ku Klux Klan considered my color was a curse unto them. Any other man or woman of color was a curse unto them. And then it was a curse unto them that helped them. The pink man and pink woman that you call white. It was a curse unto them to help them in their time of need, to help them escape. If they caught them, they would do the same to them. They'll call them nigger lovers. You see, there's nothing new under the sun. What America's got is amnesia. And what you have got from your ways and your deeds and your attitude is a damnable doctrine. Faith teaching that'll make you deny your creator and your works of your creator that you should do with the deeds in your body that can manifest your fruit, that people can be witness of what you say and what you do. Praise Yahweh. I'm going to stop there because I know I've been here ministering to you out of the love of the Spirit, that you who are saved will stay saved, endure until the end of the world or end of your life, but you must endure in righteousness and truth. You must possess the fruit of the Spirit, Ephesians 5:9, that is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. And when you get in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, when you get in those things, then you get temperance, self-control, not the last one in the back. You get that first. Because truth is going to allow the rest of them to come inside of you. When you got a love for the truth, you'll have love, joy, and peace operating inside of you because you're a vessel of sanctification and honor. So be not deceived. Yahweh is not mocked. Galatians chapter 6, verse 7 and 8. Be not deceived. Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever man soweth, so shall he reap. Wherever you be at, wherever you're doing, you won't escape sowing and reaping. He that sow to the flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that sow to the Spirit shall reap of the Spirit life everlasting. Yahweh is not mocked. Get your house in order. Put that wicked one from among you. Come back to your first love. Don't weary yourself in well-doing, for you shall reap in due season if you faint not. If you don't fall by the wayside, if you don't get taken in by the doctrine of demons, the faith teaching that is out there, been out there, and has described many souls, because the men that Yahweh had reserved to himself are just beginning to come out. And they're going to be a famine in the land for hearing us and seeing us, because he's going to shut us down. And you're going to have to search for us. You're going to have to try to go from north to east to south to west to hear the word. And you won't find it because you didn't have a love for the truth when it came to you. You wouldn't listen. So I encourage the elect, those that have a love for the truth. And I want you to read in 2 John and 3 John, the epistle, and you're only going to find one time the word faithful. They put that in the 3rd epistle of John, before the book of Revelation. And you will see right there and stuff that that word did not apply, period, in the message that he was saying in 2 John and 3 John in his epistles to the lady and to the elders. Should have been truthful, not faithful. Because they had a love for the truth. That's all they were spouting in the truth. One word jump out there. One word. And you'll see that word do not apply with truth. Mercy, trustworthy, relying upon, having confidence in. Yahweh is the word that you need to know what vessel you possess in doing his will and sanctification and honor. Because if you possess faith, you're not in his will. You have denied your maker existing in his work, in his work, and his signs, and his wonders. You'll say there's no evidence of none of those things being seen or being done. It's just a story being told. Believe me, you won't escape judgment. That spirit of delusion will overtake you if you already don't have it now. Blessed be Yahweh this day and forevermore, who give us the praise unto him and to give us sanctification and honor, and has given unto me to trust me with his word, to speak his word truthful unto his people. With all my heart, soul, mind, and strength, I don't want to err away from the truth, or add or take away from the truth. I just want to take away the works of the devil that has made many people fall by the wayside and have not a love for the truth no more. Love you in the body, in the mind of Yeshua HaMashiach that set us free from this world of sin and death. May your love be in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, that you can produce the fruit of your own confession with evidence and witness around you that you are the people of Yahweh. Shalom and shalom.